In this survival skills video, I'm going to teach you how to make natural cordage from inner bark of a tree. Right guys, I'm walking on the wilderness area of our Western Cape training branch. And behind me you can see there is this forest of trees. That is Port Jackson, an invasive species that is allowing us resources for use in survival. These trees provide us with amazing shelter materials, but most importantly, it provides us with bark that we can use to make very strong natural rope. From a conservation perspective, we're trying to get rid of these trees, and one of the only ways to truly get rid of them is to debark them. Magically, we use the bark to make rope. So we're providing a conservation service by harvesting the bark from these trees for rope making. Before we can make rope, we need to harvest the bark from this tree. You simply do this by cutting all the way around the tree. Then you perform a cut straight down, and then you can simply peel off the bark. Once you have your bark, it's a simple matter of rolling it into a nice carryable bundle, and we'll prepare that bark for rope when we get back to camp. The first thing we need to do is to take some of the bark and remove the outer bark. A bark consists of two separate layers. It's the outer bark that protects the tree, and it has got an inner bark, which is the cambium layer that we're after. The inner bark is much more flexible, rot resistant, and makes excellent rope. You remove the bark by simply bending it and then stripping away the outer bark layer. It comes off relatively quickly and easily if you do it soon after you have harvested the bark. What you should end up with is a nice piece of bark that is completely smooth with the outer bark removed. Once you remove the outer bark, the bark is quite sticky and wet. We need to dry it out a little bit. 5-10 minutes in hanging over a branch will do the trick, and that will just allow you to work with a little bit drier fiber, which makes rolling and the technique in making rope a little easier. After about 10 minutes drying it in the wind, we can take our inner bark and we can now turn this into rope. The technique for making rope is very simple, but you need to pay attention to the steps to be able to get it right. First, we strip the fibers down to have even strands. That's going to be turned into our rope. Obviously, the more fibers you take, the thicker your rope will be. Once you have dried your fibers, you will now be able to turn this into rope. Obviously, we have a short piece of fiber here, and if we want to make a rope infinity long or quite longer than this is, we'll have to join somehow. To be able to do that, you're going to divide your fibers up in a long 2/3 piece and a short 1/3 piece. Where my left hand is gripping the division between the long and the short piece, you are simply going to take both hands between your thumb and forefinger and simply roll the cord or the fibers until it is nice and tight and doubles back on itself, creating a small pigtail. grip that pigtail between the thumb and forefinger of your non-dominant hand, and now you will be left with a long fiber and a short fiber piece. The one that's the furthest away from you, which in this case is the short fiber piece, you take that fiber piece between your thumb and forefinger of your dominant hand, roll it away from you nice and tight, and once it's tightened up, you trap the front long fiber piece between your middle finger and forefinger, and you will twist your wrist so that those two fiber pieces change place. The long fiber piece is now at the back where the short one was, and the short fiber piece is now at the front where it was at the back a moment ago. Simply repeat the process with the long fiber piece, as that's the one that's at the back now. So roll it away from you nice and tight and bring it back over so that the two fiber pieces again change place. Simply repeat this process, working your way down the fibers, and you will end up with beautiful natural rope. When you get to a point where the short fiber piece is becoming almost too short to work with, you simply take another long fiber, lay it next to the short fiber piece, roll the two together and just simply join them very crudely, and then continue your rope making. You'll see that there will be a small little joining piece that you can simply cut off with your knife to make it nice and neat. And you don't even know where the join was. Continue until the next fiber piece becomes too short, and just join that piece again with a longer fiber piece. This process, once you've mastered the technique, allows you to create a lot of rope quickly, and it is an awesome way to create really strong cord and rope in the wilderness. This piece of cord is really strong, and you can pull on it as hard as you can and it won't break. Doing it properly will give you beautiful rope. When you come to the end of your piece of rope that you've made and you want to finish it off, you can simply tie an overhand knot to the end to lock it in place. Tie another knot for a little bit more security and to hold it nicely, and then you can simply trim off the end with your knife, and you have created a beautiful piece of natural cordage from inner bark.